2023 is over, more or less, and the world ends. Well, for AEW, it's been a pretty rough year for them. And heading into the show that night, it was especially rough considering, as far as we're aware of, Twitter drama caused a certain chain of events that led to complications that I will not get into. But I'm just going to say that if certain people were not informed of this ahead of time and did not give their permission, I will just say, the wrestling journalism side is probably fucked, but that's a different matter. I just hope the person who is not even in the conversations of all these Twitter dramas is doing all right with all this stuff resurfacing, and if any of this is accurate. Yeah, and AEW especially has had it rough. They got rid of Punk. He went back to WWE. I wasn't at all mad. I was just more disappointed at the fact that the community has just continuously drained my passion for this whole thing. It's been a consistent struggle trying to just even make content on YouTube. I've been on multiple hiatuses this year, and not help the fact that I work, and this is the holiday season, and this is when we're usually at the busiest, and I was close to losing my mind on multiple occasions, especially when customers don't understand what the concept of restricted access means, in which case I feel like they should be served afterwards, but that's a different matter. But heading into the show, AEW needed something going on to win for this, and you can make the argument if they did anything good this part, but MJF has had this phenomenal heel and face run as world champion. It's sort of a play. I want to say this. I know they probably can't do it because, certain complications and legalities. This is sort of like the inverted CM Punk run for MJF, whereas Punk starts off as a massive face who then turns heel because, of course, The Rock demands it, or else Brian would have been screwed. It's MJF who starts off as a heel and ends his run as a face, and conveniently also ends thanks to a Samoan wrestler. Yeah, see the inversion here? It's so weird, isn't it? Especially since if MJF held the title for another 30 or so days, he would have been at Punk's timeline of losing the belt. I'm pretty certain this was just completely by mere coincidence. If AEW really thought this through, even with Punk gone, if they had the legality to fully mention him outside before he signed, it would have been nice, crisp storytelling. It's a subtle thing I picked up on, realizing the parallels going on here. But all that's going, and now that I think about it, you got the devil and the minions attacking people that associate themselves with MJF, and anything that relates to him, like how the Shield attacked a whole bunch of people to protect CM Punk. These attacker, the devil and his minions, are attacking people who have somewhat friendships or ties with alliances to MJF in the current timeline, and are trying to undermine him. It's so inverted that had things been different and had things been really changed up, had the timelines been altered and protected, and had certain journalists came out and admitted that it wasn't certain people that were saying stuff and that someone else is backstage leaking all this stuff, and if certain people let cooler heads prevail, we could have had a phenomenal story and version of Punk and MJF's dynamic. But we live in the worst timeline. but enough about that. MJF took on Samoa Joe for the second time, and it's a match that MJF was coming in hurt. He was hurt. He had a torn labrum. He got it hurt during his match with Jay Whitehall. And, well, it certainly sucked when that happened, because now MJF would have to drop the belt, because it was at this point, like, he has a torn labrum. He could only delay it for so long. He needs, when we have a major main event storyline going on. So I thought, yeah, he's heading into this. He's gonna do as much as what he can with get his shoulder into some competent shape. And conveniently, this is the same injury Adam Cole got when he got hurt, and then kept wrestling because Cody and Kenny Omega didn't know when to stop a trend when they started it. If you had told me these things happened, I would have said this is the most convenient, most cosmic coincidences happening yet in wrestling. Like the inverted MJF CM Punk Endgame runs as champs, the Samoans involved with this, the Shield, the Devil and his minions, and now Adam Cole, baby, and torn labrums, and MJF's reign probably prematurely ending due to a torn labrum. Especially, like, do you not see the odd parallels going on here? But yeah, Samoa Joe would be revealed to be affiliated with the Devil, having a business deal of sorts as a professional hitman, essentially. Adam Cole was hurt, so they clearly had to delay things and stretch things out a little bit more than probably what they originally intended. I wouldn't be surprised if they had intended to have this happen at Full Gear, but then Adam Cole got hurt, sadly, after jumping off a stage, as you do. And then all this stuff happened, and they had to stretch it out, and people kind of got annoyed, but at least I got why they had to delay it. But Samoa Joe has had also a pretty interesting year, being the king of television and all that, then subsequently relinquishing the TV ROH title after beating Keith Lee. You couldn't think of any other option for him to drop the belt to Keith Lee. That at least would have given Keith Lee something to do, but then he got hurt, so okay, I'm not as annoyed, but the fact that Keith Lee was working with a messed up arm since 2022, when we're at December 31st, 2023, tells me so many things are wrong in this timeline, for wrestling especially. And now, we're here. It is here, it is now. MJF defending the AEW World Championship for the final time against Samoa Joe as the Devils lurk in the shadows. And I'm gonna be real, this was a good match. Yeah, it had to do what it needed to do. It could have been much better, but like I mentioned, all the other stuff, the torn labrum especially probably hindered that. And they were just like, we just gotta get to World's End, we gotta drop the belt, then MJF can take time off. And Adam Cole baby came out to be at MJF's corner, much to Samoa Joe's anger as a master illusionist. And they would go to town on this match, and I honestly thought they were gonna just like end it quickly with the way it was looking, but no, they managed to get to a near 20-minute fight. And when the ref got knocked down, I thought that, okay, this is when the Devil and his minions show up, right? Nope. Adam Cole looks like he's gonna try to help, gets to the ring too late, and Samoa Joe traps him in the Coquilla clutch. MJF tries to get out. And Samoa Joe continues to also be a cruiserweight in disguise because he replaced his bones with rubber. That's my conspiracy for all these heavyweight wrestlers and these small wrestlers bending their bodies in ways that would make contortionists look like what the fuck. And Samoa Joe put MJF to sleep. No dramas, no shenanigans, no minions involved in the decisive ending to MJF's reign. Samoa Joe makes MJF sleep clean as possible. And even and I like how the ref sold it like, what just happened? Like, he couldn't believe MJF just went out, especially after that killer awesome entrance he got, where the people of Long Island were like, he's our scumbag. He's my scumbag. He's my scumbag, bro. He's my scumbag. And they all put on their scarves. That was awesome. Kind of makes me wish we did more of that in wrestling, where they get special entrances and they get people just to showcase the impact a guy like that has on their lives and whatnot. It's showcasing, especially when they do these hometown shows. Man, I kind of wish WWE kind of did that a little bit more instead of having the person every time lose at these shows, because that's a trope. But Samoa Joe is now the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. And I had to look this up on Cage Match. Turns out he has not won a single world championship, unless we want to count the NXT runs. He has not won a world championship since TNA was a name, and before Impact became the name. And that was in 2008, before everything went wrong thanks to Bischoff and Hogan. So Samoa Joe has not won a world championship, a world heavyweight championship, since 2008. That is 15 years too long. That should have been resolved 5 years afterwards. He should have been a world champion in WWE. We'll always say that. But now he's getting his chance to do it in the other big promotion. Well, to be fair, WWE doesn't call themselves a wrestling promotion. They call themselves sports entertainment. So Samoa Joe is now the World Heavyweight Champion in the largest wrestling promotion in America, whereas he was denied that in the largest sports entertainment company in America. And all that. Oh my god, Vince, how did you mess this up? And Samoa Joe walked off, celebrating his victory. MJF, realizing his run is over, he does not have his trump card to get the best contract out of AEW or anywhere else. Adam Cole comes back, tries to reassure him that he has nothing to be ashamed of, and then the minions of the devil finally arrive. MJF tries to get Cole out of there, and then the devil's minions went ahead and trapped Cole and MJF. And one of the devils has a chair. One of the minions has a chair, and is prepared to strike down MJF until Adam Cole starts goading them into striking him down, and MJF tries to goad them into striking him down to save his friend. And then the lights turn off, revealing the devil was in fact Adam Cole, baby, this whole goddamn time. And then the minions unmask, revealing Roderick Strong, The Kingdom, and Wardlow. And MJF is absolutely stunned and realizing the totality of all that he's done, setting in, knowing that this is now a big revenge trip. Roderick Strong takes out MJF with a knee strike, as Wardlow powerbombs MJF, and as Adam Cole simply watches and smirks, seeing the work he has finally achieved been done. And he removes the devil's mask from his clothing and drops it on MJF's chest as he's laid down in the ring. Ending the show with Adam Cole looking like the biggest a-hole in the history of professional wrestling. I'm not saying he is, but I'm just saying this is the vibe I'm getting from what he's trying to do. As the show ends right there. And the thumbnail used in this video is by Scott Lesh, so credit to him on that for the photo. I'll also put it in the description. The idea that Adam Cole was the devil has been a long... there were several discussions about who the devil was for months after All In. The obvious idea was it's Adam Cole, baby. Especially with the subtlety of AEW's masterstroke in actual being effing subtle. Yeah, I know, that's a foreign concept in that other place sometimes, especially when it was being run by delusional nutcase who should have been in handcuffs by now. Subtlety was there, where MJF and Adam Cole are talking, and the mask is on Adam Cole's end, not on MJF, so there's a foundation to work with. Others wanted it to be CM Punk, which I totally get. And not just because I get the whole you didn't want him gone from AEW even after what happened. I get the storytelling elements about this, especially when I bring up the inversion of MJF's title run and how the endgame scenario goes for MJF with this whole thing. I get it. Had it been Punk, it would have made almost as much sense as it did with Adam Cole, baby. And others also, and then I saw on Jeff Meacham's network the idea of it being Tony Khan and the Elite. It would be interesting, but Tony Khan, unfortunately, is very... What's that word I'm looking for? Oh, yeah, he's an absolute geek, and he's not really known for his microphone skills like Vince. And Tony Khan tries to be that guy everyone loves, whereas Vince McMahon is just naturally disdainable. He has the look of someone that thinks he's better than you, and you know it. And plus, he's a real life scumbag. So, yeah. So while the idea there also would have merit, it wouldn't work in the long run, especially since Tony Khan would have to be the authority figure on TV, and everyone was sick to death with that. And the fact that Tony Khan would have to suddenly be the masterstroke on the mic, and you would also and then you also got to remember Kenny Omega's gone for a while because he has diverticulitis. Yeah. Not only that, the Young Bucks are currently in this war with Kenny Omega and their fallout with him on TV, and their disappearance would have to be explained. Hangman being the devil would have also worked because, because Hangman has been trying to do this redemption arc of sorts with the public. And they just hate for everything that happened with him, Punk, and everything that followed after, and thinking he's one of the reasons Punk's not in AEW today, stealing the show with MJF. I get that. That would have definitely worked, but I don't know if Hangman would have done it. I don't know. He probably could have said no. I don't know. He doesn't have the kind of power like our EVPs had, and I'm pretty sure Kenny would have done it because, well, out of everyone from the whole event that broke down in 2022, Punk and Kenny are the only ones that really moved on from it. Kenny afterwards kind of was just chill about the whole thing. He's like, I hope they're doing well, and reportedly, this is conjecture, reportedly Kenny and Punk talked after the fight. And Kenny was surprisingly composed, it was said. And I'm like, what? But yeah, the idea of the devil being any of these other people, the other option people were saying, like, it's clearly going to be Jack Perry. And I was like, That's a terrible idea. I get the idea what you're going for. Jack Perry being the devil, especially Four Pillars and all that. I get it. I find it immensely stupid because for two reasons. One, Jack Perry was suspended and is probably the most hated guy in the fan base, so I get the foundational reason to do it, but he is extremely hated by fans and who would reject this instantly. The second reason is, and he's admitted it, he's not good on the mic. He would have to go through some serious reinvention for himself while he was away on suspension to learn how to do promos better. And while his dad is known from the wrestling world and he could have connections to get the best training from people, but like, why? But like, that's the other thing. The guy was suspended. Why would you instantly thrust into the main event scene for the world title in the top storyline after getting into a fight with Punk at All In, the biggest show in AEW's company history, and getting the guy fired inadvertently over freaking glass? Why would they do that? Like, I don't even think WWE would do it. Like, if there was a big incident going on, I don't think they would do that. I think they would take advantage, exploit it outside of a title main event scene, like the Matt Hardy Edge scenario situation over Lita. They did, like, they made a story after he came back with the feud, but they did like give him the world title run with it. They didn't do a world title. They just had Matt and Edge fighting and brawling and having matches against each other that were pretty bangers, but they didn't have the world title involved. They had the briefcase involved, but that's a different matter. So yeah, Jack Perry being the devil, I get the foundational reason to do it. I just don't think it would have worked, because you would need serious mic skills to make it work. So yeah, all these other scenarios could have worked in theory. Punk, Hangman, Tony Khan, even those all worked in theory. Punk especially. Adam Cole was the solution, was the obvious answer in my eyes. I think that was always the plan. CM Punk could have been an alternative if he was still there, and if he stuck around and crowd speculation happened more. That probably would have resulted in that. We'll probably never know unless we go through the multiverse. And last but not least, here's the thing. I was watching the Jeff Meacham podcast, and I made a comment saying sometimes the obvious answer is the right answer, and JJ disagreed with that, and respect his opinion on that. Totally get his reasoning. I honestly get it. I disagree. I totally get it. I understand, and I hear him out, but I just disagree because because the idea that this needs a big twist to justify anything instead of just being a natural progression in storytelling, it just bugs me, because if the story said that it requires a twist, like, we didn't, like, did we, like, people, okay, here's my one point. Hangman Adam Page was supposed to defeat Kenny Omega at All Out, but then he had an unexpected happening. He was going to be a father. So AEW delayed it. They delayed it, did a pretty cool swerve, but that was it. You could only do it that one time. The end game was always Hangman beats Kenny, so they could only hold out for one time. Then they did it. If they had just said, oh, well, we need a twist, Kenny beats Hangman. Okay, what did we accomplish with that? Kenny still has to leave. You just wrecked the whole 4-year storyline you had, which was the foundational storyline of AEW, because you needed a twist. It just bugs me. Like, and people were all convinced Cody was going to win at WrestleMania 39 this year. And then WWE said screw it and gave it back to and gave the title, let Roman retain, and everyone was mad about that. And to this day, you still have people saying it was the right decision. You still have people saying it was the wrong decision. I still don't find any justification for this. And now the next match, if they do it for next WrestleMania, hinges on it having Cody win to justify the first match. You want to know the last time I had that moment where you have a story that you didn't know what to feel, and it depended on this follow-up to try justify all the stuff going on in the previous? It was called The Last Jedi and the Rise of Skywalker. And look how that turned out for me. I have never reviewed The Rise of Skywalker because I had no idea how to articulate my thoughts on that. To this day, I have seen it once, and I have not watched it since. I have not wanted to watch the sequel trilogy since. So, yes, would it have been cool if the twist was a good idea and it worked? Go ahead for it. But to me, the obvious answer should, if it works, if it makes sense in the context, and all the Easter eggs were teasing it, then it should be the right answer in my eyes. I just disagree. I'm just giving you my point. Respect to him, but that's my take on that. MJF has worked for over 400 days as the AEW World Champion. He's earned that. I sincerely hope he's re-signed, or this would be very awkward. Like, word's been going around that he might have re-signed for till like 2020 or 2030 or something. That's been rumored, but we'll hear whenever he comes back, because he is set to take off for a while. He has a ton of injuries going on for him. Labrum tears, all that other tears, wear and tear after being champion for over 400 days. And now Samoa Joe gets to hold the title up for a little bit. Don't think he's going to have it for long. If he does, I'll honestly be surprised. And now the Kingdom with Wardlow and the Devil Adam Cole have now they realize they're going to be in danger for a while, because they attacked Jay White. They attacked the Acclaimed and badass Billy Gunn. So you already have some setup here. So Bullet Club Gold and the Acclaimed are going to try and get their revenge. I guarantee that. They're going to be like, you attacked us. You attack us, we send you to the morgue. But yeah, it's going to be a hell of a 2024 for AEW as they reset, realign, and rebrand everything up for the new year. Let's hope things work out for them, and especially the TV deals. You gotta go on HBO Max, guys. Especially, please, for God's sake, just go on HBO Max. We can't keep paying for these pay-per-views, and they keep increasing every year now. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Samoa Joe is heading into 2024 as the world champ. Hurrah! Finally. Especially since he also announced that AEW and Warner Bros. Games are now in partnership, which means I hopefully will get my dream AEW collaboration in Mortal Kombat as a future DLC season pack. Hopefully. But plus, Samoa Joe is King Shark, and it's also kind of now awkward that you realize Samoa Joe's on WWE's platform of Peacock as the clown from Twisted Metal. Sweet Tooth, yeah, that was his name. It's been a while. And Samoa Joe is now the interbrand of streaming services, the king of streaming and the king of gaming. If he doesn't go with that's a missed opportunity right there. But, yep, it's been a hell of a year. I'm hoping things get back in the game for me soon. It's just, with work finally settling down, with all the stress I was going through and everything else going on, and the wrestling drama and the tribalism and all the bullshit, I'm hoping I can finally get some consistency back on track. MJF, you've earned your flowers. I hope you have a long and hopefully great recovery period for you. I sincerely hope the revenge story is absolutely glorious, because MJF's gonna need some help to fight the Kingdom, and a certain Hammerstone did say might need a friend or two. So I'll see y'all again. This was your host, Eric Brown of Neo Reality Entertainment, operating under the NRE The WrestleVerse brand. I'll see y'all again next time. Peace and take care, and keep on wrestling.